In today's video, we're going to show you exactly how to remove the stock rear suspension and replace it with Ohlins brand suspension on your Harley Davidson motorcycle. And I want to do this on my 14 Street Glide Special for a better, smoother ride and for better cornering abilities. Welcome back, Bikeaholics. Ryan Urlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. I always thank you. That's right, you. For checking back in. So before we get wrenching, there are some things you should know. First of all, we will be selling Ohlins suspension right in the Law Abiding Biker store. So if you appreciate free detailed videos like this, please consider purchasing from us. Link in the description below. And just note that there's also different lengths of the rear suspension. Now, remember that the Street Glide Specials and Road Glide Specials, for that matter, sit an inch lower than like your Ultra Classics and things like that. So because I corner more aggressively and often drag floorboards, I went with the 13-inch model, which actually raises the rear of my bike 1 inch, giving me better lean angle. And one of the things that I really like about the model of Ohlins suspension that I picked for my 14 Street Glide Special is that in addition to preload adjustment, they also have rebound dampening adjustment. And unlike the stock shocks, you can adjust your preload and dampening on both sides. And of course, these things ride like a dream compared to stock shocks. All right, with that said, what do you say we get our hands dirty? But before we do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell icon. Every time those are hit, another biker joins the revolution, and we'd love to have you be part of it. All right, so we've got the bike on a lift. It'll make the project a lot easier. Yes, no front forks. That's because we're doing Ohlins suspension on the front of this bike too. And that video is forthcoming on the YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that bell icon so you're notified when we come out with those videos. Moving back here, also we have it on a Titan lift. And we've got a mini Titan mini jack. We sell these lifts right in the Law Abiding Biker store along with Ohlins suspension. Of course, we'd love to get one of these lifts in your hands and get it shipping your way. I will link to that in the description below. We also have a off-brand, because we've got the front up with the mini jack. We've got an off-brand jack there just so we can finish this rear project and get it filmed. So anyways, first thing he's going to do is remove this rear saddlebag. And in there, we don't have the stock bolts, of course. We don't like them, not even the new models. They're sucked, they're clunky. These are our awesome RICKRAK saddlebag safety bolts, way better than the stock ones, way more secure. And those are available right in the Law Abiding Biker store also. I'll link to them in the description below. And with that said, he can go ahead and remove that saddlebag, get it out of our way, exposing that stock rear shock there. All right, so the first thing he's going to do now, that he got the left saddlebag off here, he's just going to jack it up just so that rear wheel is just barely off the lift. That'll make getting the bolts out easier. There'll be no pressure on them. And with a 3/4 ratchet wrench, he's just going to break these loose. You can use a socket, but that saddlebag lower bar can kind of block you in, so a ratchet wrench is useful for this project. All right, he's just backing that bottom one out, and save that because we will reuse that hardware. Moving up to the top one there, same thing. He'll back this all the way out. There we go, left side shocks removed. So when you get your Ohlins rear shocks, it's going to come with two. They do have specific sides, and the way you determine that is you want the Ohlins logo on the upside, and then the nitrogen screw on the top there you want facing to the rear of the bike. So in this case, there's only one shock that will match that. All right, so in his hand, you'll see hardware that came with the Ohlins rear shocks, a spacer and a washer. So that spacer is actually going to go in the top of the shock there. Fits right in the Heim joint there. And then the bolt goes in, stock bolt with the stock washer. And then the washer that came in the kit goes on the back side. That's how you'll set up both top and bottom. And you just get the bottom set up there the same way, and he will go on with that new Ohlins rear shock. And he's going to get that top finger started there. So now we've got the top bolt in, and so we're going to stop here on the left side. And the reason is we need to go ahead and pop the right side to drop that wheel down all the way so that we can get the bolt lined up. Because on this bike, we are going 1 inch higher than stock, so we're going 13 inches on the rear. So we'll move around to the right side. Okay, and of course, removing that right side saddlebag, again, RICKRAK saddlebag safety bolts in the Law Abiding Biker store. And he can go ahead and get that bag up and out of our way, access to that right rear shock. All right, and with a 3/4 inch socket, he's just taking off that top bolt. And you can see That kind of dropped everything. The swing arm dropped a little bit, and that takes the pressure off everything. And going on the bottom with his 3/4 inch ratchet wrench, again, because that saddlebag support bar will hang you up with a socket and a ratchet. And off with the right side. Again, save the bolts and washers. All right, now he's just gonna use that jack, and he's lining up that bottom hole with the shock. So he's just lifting up a little bit till it's lined up. And then, of course, we showed you the hardware and how it goes in there. He's getting that put in there, that washer on the back side there, and he can get this finger started. So you can just kind of manipulate your jack a little bit up and down till you get that hole lined up right. All right, just real quick and we'll get right back into your video. As you can imagine, a lot of man-hour expenses and effort go into keeping this channel going strong. Of course, there's a way you can support us by becoming a patron member. I will link to it in the description below. There are benefits for becoming a member, such as t-shirts and stickers. You get access to the private Facebook group, which is a troll-free zone, nothing but bikers helping bikers. You get access to live video broadcasts and chat, podcasts early, premium videos, and of course, access to those ride, meetup, and events. We appreciate you considering becoming a member. All right, let's get back into your video. All right, with his 3/4 inch ratchet wrench, he's gonna go ahead and get this bolt tightened in all the way. Already got that one tightened down, and he'll move to the top there and get that one snug down. All right, he's got his torque wrench out, and 35 to 40 foot-pounds are the specs. There you go. And he'll do the top. And of course, if you want, you can certainly put Loctite on these before you put them in. All right, so you can see he's setting that up. He's got his spacer in there, and then the washer on the back side. Ohlins logo is to the upside, and the nitrogen screw facing to the rear, so just be sure. They do have specific sides. And he's getting that bottom finger started there. And you can see that top bolt doesn't perfectly line up, and so we're going to have to manipulate the jack around to see if we can get it to line. So in order to line this up, it definitely helps to have two people, especially when you're working on the right side. One guy can be talking to the other guy and running the jack, and the other guy can be trying to line up the bolts. So a partner can definitely be helpful. Okay, so even with the wheel off the lift, we can't quite line up the right side here. That's normal. It can happen to you, so easily solved. It does help to have a flat wrench. He's got a flat 17 millimeter there, so there's enough space to fit it in there. But he's got a 17 on the inside and a 19 millimeter on the outside nut there. And he'll turn those in opposite directions as they're jammed up against each other. All right, so that frees up the top of it, the heim joint there, and he can go ahead and turn that nut all the way up out there, put it up against the heim joint. Now he can just turn that in, and he'll go up on the bike now and see if it lines up, and it's looking pretty good there. We're not gonna jam that nut back up against there just in case we need to make any other adjustments, but he'll get these bolts finger started, and then we can tighten that adjuster back up. But he's gonna get the regular bolts hardware that we took out and get his washer and all that spacer that comes in the kit like we showed you and get this right side mounted. All right, so he's gonna go back on with the 17 millimeter there and followed up by the 19 millimeter there. And he's gonna jam that nut back up against it. And with his 3/4 ratchet there, he's going to tighten those down, and he'll finish it up there with the torque wrench, again, 35 to 40 foot-pounds. All right, we've got the shocks installed now on both sides. We can go ahead and adjust the preload. We'll show you how to do that, and then the rebound. All right, so after you buy your Ohlins suspension, support us, of course, from the Law Abiding Biker store, and you have it installed on your bike, you can go to OhlinsUSA.com, and they have a setup calculator for your preload. And they make it very, very easy. You pick your bike, and then it's going to ask us your bike, your suspension model number, and then it's going to ask us some questions. I'm leaving for a trip here, so he's going to go ahead and select solo rider with luggage. And you could have a couple different of these. You just have to write them down. But again, I'm going solo with luggage, rider weight, including the gear I'm wearing. We're going to go around 180 pounds. And then, of course, you can put a passenger weight, but we're solo with luggage. And then the weight in the saddlebags, we're going to guesstimate about 20, and we're going to calculate. And that brings us down with the highlighted solo with luggage. We're going to set our preload, as you can see there, to 24 millimeters. And then I'll find out what it is without luggage here in a moment, and then I can just write those two down. When I get back from the trip, I can adjust it appropriately. All right, so the way you adjust this Ohlins rear suspension, of course, we want to be at 24 millimeters, and you measure it from the bottom of the cylinder head to the top of the preload adjuster. I'm putting some arrows on your screen to show you the 2 points where you measure. And we're currently at like 22. And so he's going to have to add preload. And so he's going to stick his tool in there. There's holes all the way around the preload collar there. And you can just stick it in the hole there. And then we're going to go clockwise because that's going to expose more threads. Compress the spring and add preload. And he's just looking at his tape measure there. All right, and he's got it at 24 millimeters. And then we checked the calculation chart, and without luggage, I would be at 23. So when I get back home, I can just simply adjust that counterclockwise 1 millimeter. All right, so he's over here on the right side doing the same exact thing, looking for that 24 millimeters of preload. And I'm going to be reviewing this rear Ohlins suspension and the front fork Ohlins suspension on the Law Abiding Biker podcast in detail because I'm about to ride it 4,000 miles. So if you're not following and listening to the Law Abiding Biker podcast, make sure you do so. You can get it on any major podcast platform, or you can get our free app, lawabidingbiker.com/app, APP, and check it out because we get to talk about stuff like this and go into a lot more detail, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And it looks like he got it to 24 millimeters there. All right, so we're on the left side of the bike. We're going to adjust rebound now. There's a collar at the bottom. He's going to turn it counterclockwise all the way out until it stops. Once it stops, he's going to go ahead. A good starting point, they say, is 20 clicks in. So he's going to turn it clockwise 20 clicks. Now this 20 clicks should be your starting position for rebound. If you want more dampening or slower movement, you can close the rebound and basically turn it clockwise, the collar. If you want less dampening or more movement, you can open the rebound and you would turn it counterclockwise. And they're saying that a best operating range is between 14 and 26 clicks out, but you can play with that, ride the bike, see what you like. And he's going back on with the saddlebag. And of course, don't forget that you adjust the rebound on both sides. So we did it to the right side also. And he's just going to put those RICKRAK saddlebag safety bolts in here. All right, your journey's not done on the channel. I'm popping a couple videos on the screen here for you. Hopefully something useful or entertaining. Heck, maybe both. At any rate, when you're done watching videos, make sure you get out there and ride every chance you get, Bikeaholics. Peace.